Hello, all you beautiful people out there. I hope you have had or are having a fantastic day. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Salim, the teenager who talks about, how many times am I gonna say that intro? God damn it, I need to find something new. But yes, the teenager who talks about teenage stuff because there simply isn't enough of it on the internet. Guys, I'll cut to the chase. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 200 subscribers by the end of the year. Don't know if that's gonna happen because we have 2 videos left, including this one. But depending on how awesome you guys are, who knows? Who knows? We'll see. Can we get that goal? 200 by the end of the year? It's tough, but it's doable. In today's video, we are going to be talking about, shout out to this commenter down here who requested for the idea, the IB Continuum. We're gonna go from point A to point Z and explain everything in between, A.1, B.2, I don't know, everything there is, everything that you need to know in order to get from the beginning all the way to the very end. Remember, if you guys have any video ideas, leave them down in the comment section. I might just pick your comment to be the next video. I'm sorry if I'm not as energetic as I usually am. I have been sick for the past couple days. Not corona, thankfully, I don't think so, but I haven't been feeling the greatest. So if it's a little on the, down low today, then please bear with me. I'll be better next week, 100%. Okay, so the IB Continuum, what is it? Well, when people hear the IB, they're like, okay, cool, yeah, school. Well, what else? The IB Continuum is actually comprised of 3 different parts. You have the beginning, which is the PYP, also known as the primary years program. Then you have the middle, which is the MYP, the middle years program. And then you have the IB, or as it's actually called, the Diploma Program, which is all the way at the very end. We're going to be talking about each of these sections in a lot more detail, but at least for now, the PYP is from years 1 to year 6, the MYP is from years 7 to 11, and the DP is year 12 and 13. Let's start with the PYP, and we'll go through this quickly, but if there are any viewers out there that are in the PYP that are watching my videos, stick around. You might find out something useful. For any of you guys that are in the PYP, one thing that I don't want you to do is stress, because you're in your golden ages right now. Enjoy your time while it lasts, because once you get into these later stages, into high school, into whatever you're looking up towards, then it's going to get a lot more complicated. It's going to get a lot more difficult. But nevertheless, the 2 things that I do remember doing that were quite important were unit of inquiry and the end of year exhibition, end of year 6 exhibition, sorry, where you have to pick a topic, it's a global issue, and you have to create essentially an exhibition about it. It's like huge 3 boards that you have to plaster up. It might be different depending on what part of the world you're in, but that's the main piece of assessment that you do at the end of year 6. And I'm sure your teacher will give you a lot of guidance, because ever since I've been in the PYP, a lot of things have changed, because I'm now 17 and my last year was when I was 11, I think. Yeah, so big changes. So keep an eye out to what your teachers are saying and follow their guidelines. Now, for what a lot of you guys are actually here for, probably clicked on the videos, the MYP. This is, as we mentioned, are from years 7 to 11, but I also like to split this up even further when I'm explaining it to people. Let's split it up into years 7 to 9 and years 10 and 11, because that's when a lot of the change happens. So from years 7 to 9, I want you guys to be predominantly focusing on getting used to the program, getting used to each of the different criteria for assessment, getting used to each of the subjects, because when it comes to year 10, where the biggest changes will be made, because you'll be picking your new subjects, that's when you're actually going to start doing major assessments. So for now, years 7 to 9, focus on the things you enjoy, focus on learning what the actual program is about, focus on finding out what the markers want from you, what assessment markers want from you, and then in years 10 and 11, you'll have a breeze because the assessment marking doesn't actually change that much. Now, years 10 and 11, they're a little more important, and you need to kind of grasp a lot of concepts that are just thrown at you like that. One of which are e-portfolios. If you haven't seen my video about e-portfolios, I'll put a link somewhere up there in the corner. Actually, no, it's that corner. I think I remember, yeah, it's that corner. If I'm wrong, well, then it's the other corner. But I've made an e-portfolio guide on, a very in-depth e-portfolio guide on how to pass them. And yeah, so just click on that video if you're interested about finding more on e-portfolios. But that is a fairly large chunk of work that you need to complete whilst you're in years 10 and 11, predominantly in year 11. Next major thing that you have to do over the course of the 2 years is personal project. If you want me to make a video detailing all the aspects of the personal project, then let me know in the comments down below and I can get that video out to you guys. I don't know if I can actually show you my own report because of some IB guidelines, but I can't tell you what each part of the report entails, but essentially for the personal project, for those of you guys that aren't aware of it yet, is, or well, you probably should be aware of it at this stage in the year, but maybe for those of you guys that are in year 9. The personal project is essentially a piece of work that you guys do, that you have to write a report for, 3,500 words. I know that might sound like a lot right now. Trust me, it's really not. Alongside that report, you also have to create a product. Now that product can be, well, anything you really want it to be, but it has to fit your specific global context, something which you'll find out a lot about in the coming years. And it also needs to, you know, kind of benefit the world in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that was just my year group that had that sort of particular agenda, but depending on what agenda you guys get or what sort of task-specific criteria that you guys need to follow, you'll be able to adapt your personal project to that. But if you guys do want me to make a separate video detailing all the sections of the personal project, leave a comment down below and I will get that video out to you. Now, once those two pieces of work are done, the e-portfolio and of course your personal project, you need to worry about one last thing, which are your e-assessments. And your e-assessments come at the very, very end of year 11. They're like your final, your end of years, and they actually determine what subjects you can do in the next step, which is the IB. So the e-assessments are a culmination of everything that you guys have done over the past 2 years. You'll be assessed on all the different content if you're lucky. Well, lucky, maybe not so lucky. My year group actually didn't do the e-assessments because, you know, good old pal COVID came knocking on our door and was like, hey guys, you aren't doing your e-assessments. I really want you guys to be focusing your attentions on your e-assessment in order to ensure that you're able to pick the subject for your IB. E-assessments themselves, unless you're applying to like Harvard or planning to apply to Harvard or some Ivy League or some really top school university or top-notch university, apologies, then e-assessments, they're not the end-all be-all of absolutely everything. Don't worry too much, but do focus on getting some good grades so that you can pick the so that you aren't limited essentially, so you can pick the subjects you want in the IB next year. Now that we've got the main components of assessment out of the way, I'm gonna give you guys some tips for the MYP. And there are 2 things that I really want you guys to focus on during your years between 7 to 11. So the first real big tip is that get used to organizing and time managing all your work, because it's going to be an invaluable skill now that you're in the IB. Now, when I look at my friends, my classmates, the ones that are struggling the least are the ones that were able to employ time management techniques effectively when they were in their younger years. So the MYP gives you almost a dialed down sort of version of the IB in terms of workload, so that you can start learning how to manage your time, so that when you actually get thrown into the IB, you will have to adapt slightly, but it won't be something completely out of the blue that you'll be overwhelmed by and won't be able to manage. So learn to manage your time and find some sort of organizational system that works for you. If you guys need something about time management, I've got a video in either that corner or that corner. Once again, I'm gonna go with, no, did I go with that corner or did I go with, I think I went with that corner. Yeah, so either in that corner or that corner, that teaches you how I time manage some of the apps that I use and some time management techniques that you might find useful. My second tip, or something that I found useful in the MYP, is looking at clubs, looking at different things that actually interest you other than school, you know, because unless you're super passionate about something at this early of an age, then start looking outside of school, start looking at clubs, maybe not necessarily outside of school, but clubs that your school actually has, maybe even external clubs, something that you can get involved in, something that you're passionate about, because of course, not everybody enjoys school, not everybody loves school, and these teenage years are finding things that you actually like, and if you don't do this now, you won't have a chance to do it later. You will, but look for things that you're interested in. That's essentially the dumbed down version of it. Believe me, if you focus all your attention onto schoolwork, you won't actually have time to enjoy yourself. And then when you look back on your years in the MYP, you'll go like, damn, I missed out on a lot of things. It's the same thing that I did. People who have been on this channel before, you know that I have an avid interest in MUN. And unfortunately, I only started that 2 years ago when I could have started it almost 5 years ago. So, you know, don't be like me. Don't make a mistake and don't go like, oh, cool, I'm just gonna leave that for another time. Don't procrastinate on joining clubs or doing activities that you enjoy. Moving on to the final portion of the video, we have the IB. Now, this part is, I'm anticipating, going to be a little longer because there's a lot more content to cover. Quite ironic because there's a lot of content to cover around the IB, but there's also a lot of content to cover in the IB. Interesting. Now in the IB, your subject gets stripped back up. ton, man. You only have 6 subjects total in the IB that you pick. You of course have TOK that you need to do and other small like filler subjects, but the main 6 subjects are ones that you pick. Now, the IB is pretty tough. It's pretty hardcore, and the jump from the MYP to the IB, well, it'd be an understatement saying it was noticeable. There are a couple main pieces of assessment that you need to do during your time in the IB. Now, when I say IB, I mean the Diploma Program, so years 12 and 13. So number 1, we have CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. Much like Service and Action, the MYP, which now I realize that I didn't talk about, it's essentially community-based work. So creativity, you can pick something creative that you want to do, maybe like playing an instrument or arts and crafts or something like that. Activity is like literal physical activity, so you're doing a sport, and service is community-based work. Now CAS, I'm pretty sure you need a minimum of 16 experiences over the totality of DP, so years 12 and 13. You also need 2 CAS projects, which are longer pieces of work, longer projects that go on for at least 2 months. CAS, don't be scared guys, your CAS coordinator in your school will definitely help you out with this. They'll tell you a lot more about it than I can right now. Next big thing is extended essay. So the extended essay is a formal paper. It's your first ever paper that you are going to be doing in school. Well, maybe not your first ever paper, but it's a pretty big piece of work. It's 4,000 words and it revolves around one subject essentially. So for my topic, or sorry, not my topic, for my subject area, I chose biology. My topic, well, that's what I have the next 2 months to do, to think about. But for a science-based IA, or sorry, not an IA, for a science-based extended essay, you need to have an experiment that you do in class. For a more humanities literature-based essay, you need to look at like a case or maybe do it on an article or something like that. And then for maths, you need to actually prove a theorem. So maths is probably one of the most difficult ones, then comes science, and then more of a humanities one. But the extended essay is all about picking something you enjoy and something that you might actually pursue in the near future, because it's not uncommon to see that extended essays actually land students in the top universities. And sometimes your extended essay can even get published in scientific journals if it's a science-based essay, in mathematics journals if it's a mathematics-based essay. It can really go places. So be careful when you're choosing your topic, when you're choosing your subject area. Moving on from the extended essay, the next piece of assessment, the third one, is IAs in every single subject. IA stands for internal assessment, and what that means essentially is that in a language-based internal assessment, it's not a paper as of such. We'll talk about papers, so paper 1, 2, 3, later on, but for an IA, every single subject has an assessment that you do in school. So in school, for example, a secondary language, you're going to be doing a speaking assessment. So that's the IA for a language-based subject. For sciences, you have to do an experiment. So that's, and then of course a report. So that is the IA for science. And then for humanities, you have to look at, well, depending on what humanity, but speaking from experience, for economics, you look at an article, you analyze that article according to a specific format, and that's the IA. So an IA is different for every single subject, but you usually do 1, but some subjects like economics, you do 3, and it all varies from subject to subject. So I can't really help you with a specific subject IA, maybe because I don't take that subject, but once again, listen to your teachers and just know that every subject will have an IA. I forgot to mention completely, the 4th aspect is TOK, which stands for Theory of Knowledge. Now, this is a new subject for anyone coming into the IB. Theory of knowledge is essentially something called epistemology, and it's questioning how we know what we know. I know, a little bit weird, and it takes a while to get the hang of TOK and understand what they really want from you, and it can be really confusing and frustrating at first, but trust me, you guys will get it. For our cohort in TOK, which is the class of 2022, there are a couple things that you need to do for like assessment wise. So the first thing is you need to do an exhibition, similar to the one you did for personal project or similar to the one you did way back in the PYP, but on like approximately 10 times harder. Yeah, because it's TOK. You also need to do an essay for TOK, so those are the 2 pieces of assessment. Now finally, the last bit that you do in the IB are your papers, your end of year exams. So for every subject, you'll have between 1 and 3 papers. At a subject at standard level, we'll have 2 papers, and a subject at higher level will usually have 3 papers. But then again, it varies. And you do these papers at the end, very, very end of the year. of year 13, sorry. And these papers actually are externally assessed by IB markers. So they're a big deal. And this is what defines your end of year transcript, what you send over to universities, and it's a little bit hectic. So be careful, manage your time, we'll organize everything. These assessments will cover everything you've done over the past 2 years, so they're pretty big. Moving on to the tips section for the IB. Now, I've only been in the IB for 1 term, so I'm not this all-knowing, all-wise person. But for now, the things I've noticed is that do not take HLs for the fun of it. That is the first big one, because I have friends that take HLs just because, you know, they wanted to take HLs 4 or 5. You need to take 3 minimum. I take 4, but that's because I actually need 4, not because I want to take 4. So don't take HLs just because, you know, like you want to challenge yourself. It's really not worth it, and the workload is extreme. So don't jeopardize the subjects you actually need just because you want to take HLs for the fun of it. Second tip is actually a very, very funny quote that I heard, which is even dumb kids can pass the IB as long as they know how to manage their time well. It's actually pretty true. The IB isn't some like insane course that you need to be a genius for to get. It's manageable as long as you manage your time well. So there's a lot of work, but that's not to say that that work is insanely difficult. Anyone can pass the IB as long as they manage their time well. For now, for the time being, I can say that that statement is mostly true, but let's see what I think in 2 years' time. Now, based on subject decisions and picking your subjects at the end of year 11, so for your IB subjects, pick subjects you're interested in. Look at those hobbies that you've been developing over your years on the MYP and pick subjects that you actually enjoy, because you're going to be doing them for 2 years. And if you're doing a subject for 2 years that's difficult, that you don't enjoy, well, it's going to go downhill very, very quickly. Number 4 is to start looking at universities. Usually you have a bit of a grace period where you can shift subjects at the beginning of the first year of IB. So look at universities, look at requirements, what subjects do you need to be taking to get the course you want, and pick the according subjects. You won't know unless you check. So look at universities that you might potentially want to go to, look at a course that you might potentially want to study, and even if it's not the exact course, at least you'll have a general idea of the subjects you need to be taking. Now guys, that is about it for the IB Continuum. Holy crap, I've done a lot of talking. My throat is incredibly sore, but I think that is about every section of the IB Continuum. PYP, MYP, IB, and I've gone through the main components of each set of years. So that's going to be about it for today's video, guys. If you have any questions or if you want to leave a comment down below, please do not hesitate to do so. If you have any video ideas, leave them down below, and you never know, I might actually pick your comment to be the next video. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it so much if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. As we said at the beginning of the video, we are on the road to 200 subscribers by the end of the year. I'm pretty sure we're on 183 right now. That means we need 17 more to get to 200 by the end of the year. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this video actually helped you. And without further ado, have an awesome week ahead and an even better weekend. And I'll see all of you guys later.